There are many times. Dumelang, Tobela, Thokozani. Welcome to Soul Food with Mokhadi. My name is Mokhadi. Today I'm concluding my 3-part series where I am speaking about my spiritual journey, how I got to go to initiation school. In the first part, I was speaking about my Christianity and my experiences thereof. In the second part, I was talking about my experiences that led me to go to initiation school. So today I am concluding this series. I'm just wrapping up and just talking about some things that I have picked up when it comes to my Christianity versus my African spiritual journey. So before I continue, I'd just like to make a disclaimer. This is not a Christian channel. If you are a Christian and you feel personally attacked when people do not echo your Christian beliefs, your Christian faith, then I suggest that you do not watch this video any further. You can watch videos that are echoing or that affirm your faith and how you see things. This channel is not about disproving other people's religious beliefs, including Christianity. It's just that because I was a Christian, it's part of my history. I will speak about it. I will speak about my experiences, and sometimes they may not be in the best light. So if you are sensitive, then I believe that this is not the video for you. I will never ever make content that is aimed at shattering other people's beliefs. So now that we have done that disclaimer, let us begin with the Christianity versus African spirituality. So the first thing that I would like to talk about that I needed to work on when it comes to me living Christianity and to deconstruct from is the fact that when you are a Christian, you are conditioned to believe that Christianity contains God. And what I mean about that, I don't mean that Christianity does not have God in it. What I mean is that it positions itself to be a container, as if you cannot find God elsewhere when you do not call yourself a Christian. So I had to really work on that because I did not want to find myself in a situation where I'm subconsciously cursing myself by living Christianity, because I was conditioned to believe that people who are not Christians are godless, they are immoral, and they are lost. So I had to really work on that, on shedding of those beliefs. So right now my views is that if you are a human being and if there is God, then we are all able to access God. By virtue of being a human, we are able to access God. You do not need to subscribe to any spiritual system. You do not need to subscribe to any religion to be able to reach God. I do think that spiritual systems, they are man-made and they are important. They are not useless, because it gives us a framework to be able to reach God, to be able to participate in spirituality. So we are able to use other people's past experiences and what has worked for them, and we are able to use that to our benefit and be able to reach God, to participate in spirituality, so we do not have to start afresh. So I think that in that way religion is important, and that is why it can never be eradicated. There is good things that it does. Even spiritual systems, other spiritual systems like in African spirituality, Bungoma, those are also man-made. they are people's experiences on how we can tap into spirituality. Where it is cringe-worthy for me is where those systems try to gatekeep God or the divine, where they tell us that you cannot find God outside of this system. So that's where I do not agree. I don't believe that people should be coerced into staying into a religion by using fear tactics like you will go to hell, or if you don't participate in certain rituals or certain beliefs you will die or you will suffer. That's where I have a problem, right? But anybody can reach God. So it was important for me to really know that wherever I'm going, whatever spirituality that I'm taking on, God is there with me, so that I do not curse myself unknowingly and then have what we call a self-fulfilling prophecy when I leave Christianity, and then things go bad because of that curse of that indoctrination that is sort of conditioning me to go back to Christianity and say that I was lost. So I really had to really work on that, because I know that it's deeply entrenched. That's like more than 10 years of indoctrination. So I really needed to work on that. And then the second thing that I would like to speak about, when I was talking about my Christian journey, I spoke a lot about my disillusionment when it comes to Christians and the experiences of Christians, that sometimes they would not behave the way that I believed that godly people should behave, right? So that I was disappointed in certain behaviors that they would engage on, and certain heart conditions or characters that they would display, that I felt that they were not up to standard when it comes to people who read the Bible, who pray a lot, who go to church, who are religious. So what I want to say is that when it comes to people, even in African spirituality, in my work in spirituality, I've realized that people can really disappoint you. People might not act out the values that you think they should have. Even in African spirituality, there were instances where, in my observation, I thought to myself that if you say that you are a gifted person, that you can communicate with ancestors, especially ancestors of light, ancestors that have been elevated in the spiritual world, because who would want to, well, many of us, for me, I would not commune with ancestors of low vibration, of like Baba Sa Hlabologang, those that are just of low standards, right? So we believe that when we are calling upon our ancestors, we call upon ancestors of light, ancestors who have elevated, those who are worthy to lead our way, those who are worthy to be our guides, those that were elected by God himself to say that they are good enough to be our guides. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes when I looked at other people who were saying that they are spiritually gifted and they do not display the values that I would have, I would think to myself that if you are touched by spirit, then what certain behaviors, I would think that they will fall away. Things like alcoholism, things like promiscuity, those things I would think that your ancestors would rebuke you about, the Holy Spirit would rebuke you about, because it's not, we don't just commune with our ancestors, we commune with the divine, we commune with the Holy Spirit. So those kind of behaviors, you think they should fall away, especially when you are training yourself to become a healer. You are in training to become a healer. How are you a healer if those kind of things are still with you? So those are my judgments, I guess. Like, I don't believe in excessive use of alcohol. I do not believe in promiscuity. So yeah, those are kind of some of the things that I have observed, and when I look at them, I am disappointed, and I believe that they do not represent my spirituality well. Okay, what I think spirituality should be about. So, and I have observed them in other sangomas, right? So luckily for me, these kind of things, I have not observed them in my initiation school, which I'm very lucky, because I feel that if I had seen this excessive use of alcohol, promiscuity being something that is promoted or that people turn a blind eye on, I would have been very disappointed. I don't know if I would even be here today speaking about my spiritual journey, right? So luckily in my initiation school, my values were echoed. So I have belief that I have faith in what I am doing, and yeah, I know that not everybody will uphold my values. It is up to me to uphold those values, but I'm quite happy with my initiation school. Yeah, I respect my ancestors for taking me there. I know that they love me for me to be able to go and initiate there. So even things like going into nature and doing some rituals, and then you leave it, then these healers leave a litter, you know, like there's a lot of littering around spiritual spaces, around nature, in natural spaces like rivers and just generally maybe the forest. Like, I would ask myself a lot of questions, because for me, I would think that if you are saying that you are going to a natural space where you meet God, where spirituality is elevated, then why are you littering? Why are you not respecting that space? I just feel like it's as if you know. So me, it was a concern when I go to initiation school to become a sangoma, and then now I'm tapping into that kind of that kind of behavior, you know. Like I'm now going to call myself a sangoma, where other sangomas, not all of them, and not where I have initiated, but the fact that somebody, like, it's as if you go to a river and it's a mess, you find candle wax, you find bottles, you find just littering, and then they say a sangoma was there, then it feels like it pains me badly. Or even for me to say that I'm a sangoma, I can't be proud of that because of what other people are doing. So yeah, my point is that you'll get disappointed everywhere you go. People are people, where there's people gonna lead it, you know. So there's nothing you can do about that. You must just uphold your own values, and then when you become a leader and you have some kind of influence, then you will also be able to tell people about your values and encourage people to uphold to uphold your values, okay, and to respect badimo, hlompa badimo. You can't do closing work when you are drunk, the very same way that you cannot go to church and preach with a bottle of like wine, right? So yes, but these things, like I'm saying, that I've seen them in other initiation schools when we would interact with them, and they would be shocking, because I was just like, badimo ba hlompiwa, I don't understand, or why you are so loose or you are so casual when it comes to drinking. Why is there so much alcohol, you know? I don't like, how are you going to respect your gobela if you just always see them with a bottle of Black Label? Like, for me, it would be a no-no. And like I'm saying, I'm glad that my gobela is not that kind of a person, and that's why I respect her, because of the values that she holds, and the dignity that she carries out the closing work with. Okay, so now let's pass that point. And then what I also want to say is that spirituality is not a quick fix. Even going to Twasa to initiate is not a quick fix. Initiation in its essence is it's an ego death, where you pledge to offer yourself and your life to the work of the divine, to the work of your ancestors, right? To step into your purpose, to discover your purpose and step into it. It is not about excessive material gain. And why I'm saying it's not a quick fix, I am saying that there is a lot of things that you might have to overcome in order for other things to fall into place. Sometimes certain things that you used to do, certain relationships that you used to have, now that you have changed, they are going to crumble, because now you have stepped, like your identity now is changing. Even the way in which you see the world has changed, so you will outgrow certain people will also just not you are no longer the same anymore, right? So other things will crumble. Certain foundations that you have built will crumble. You are rebuilding, right? You are becoming now. Okay, you are on a journey to become the vessel that you have pledged to be. So certain things will definitely crumble. So things can look like they are worse before they become better, right? So certain things need to be demolished before you can build again, and it can feel like it's a bleak period. Okay, and sometimes it's your problems are not necessarily of a spiritual nature. Sometimes it's the habits that you have, and overcoming negative habits, even though you know better, because you have initiated. Breaking those habits is not always the easiest thing. It's things that you have carried your whole life, so it's not always easy to snap out of it. The programming that you have, that you might not know how devastating it is to your mind and the way in which you do things, they might still be in the running. They might be running and you might not be aware of them, so it might take you time to get rid of those. So those are part of what we call curses. Sometimes curses are mental, they are not necessarily spiritual. They might be generational curses because you've inherited them from your ancestors, your parents, and you are where you are because of that. And now you are tasked to investigate to investigate and then cut those curses. Sometimes it is really spiritual, and Thokozani will really help you, and it's all that you need. But sometimes it's not the case. So it's not a quick fix. There's still a lot of work that you need to do for your things to fall into place. It's not about, it requires your participation as well, and sometimes it's not as easy. It's not about just ancestors doing things for you, like you are co-creating. So you must also do your part, and they also do your part, so that you can become what you need to become. It's not as easy as it sounds. Then another thing that I want to speak about is that no one is above spiritual laws. Nobody is above physical laws. The very same way that gravity applies to all of us, it's the very same way that spiritual laws will apply to all of us. Just because somebody has gone to Twasa, it does not mean now they are above life, right? Even if you have a very beautiful name, like a very affirming name, like double amanzi, gogo legadima, you know, legadima is lightning, you know, those are very affirming closing names, you know, they are very powerful closing names. Double amanzi, it's like, you know, Moses when he parted the waters, you know, very powerful names, very affirming names. But that does not mean now that you are above the laws of this universe, the laws of earth, you know. You will always reap what you sow. Yeah, you will always reap what you sow. Another thing is that you will go through pain and disappointments just like everyone else, like you are not exempted. That is how we grow. You have a body, bodies do get sick. Sometimes it's not a spiritual illness. Bodies age, bodies are susceptible to viruses, bones can break, you know. So you, like, no one is above those things. You reap what you sow. Whatever it is that you do, your children will be able to benefit from it, or it will disadvantage them the very same way that you feel that what your ancestors did or did not do are affecting you today. So going to Twasa and being a spiritually gifted person, for me, I see it as somebody who is spiritually intelligent. You are able to grasp spirituality, what's the word I'm looking for? You are able to grasp spiritual concept easily, and you might also be able to solve spiritual problems easily, right? But just because you know something, it does not mean that it's easy to implement, because now when you are in, when it comes to the implementation, now you need to, there's sacrifices that needs to happen on your part. Also, you might need to be consistent over time to get the results that you need to, and that sometimes as humans, that discipline is not nice, right? So even if somebody knows what to do, it might be difficult for them to implement. So we are all subject to implementing, like we are all subject to being able to do the right thing. So no one is above spiritual laws, okay? And if you do take shortcuts and you do things that even yourself, your conscience does not agree with, the results will show. There is no shortcuts in the spiritual world, whether you twasat or not, okay? So the reason why I'm saying all these things that I'm saying is because I don't want to make it seem as if that African spirituality is easy, right? So it's something, it's a practice, it's a craft, so you need to really work on it for it to work for you as well. So yeah, that I'm not trying to say that it's easy, I'm not trying to romanticize it. It's really not as easy, and it's generally boring. You know, yeah, it's just generally boring. So it's up to you, yeah, for you to reach wherever you want to go. It's your efforts that will take you there. Initiations don't instantly transform you, and you can initiate and things stay the same. Some of the things can stay the same just because of you are not actively engaging with the spiritual world. Even just to hear from your ancestors, you need time, you need to be present, you need to wake up early and sit down and meditate and pray, you know. That's how you get shaped. That's how you get messages from your ancestors. So that can be very boring, you know. Imagine just sitting down for 30 minutes, you're not saying anything, you're not, you know, prayer, it can be quite boring, you know. So it's not always as easy as it sounds, but your efforts will show, right? Even the kind of healer that you become, it will show. Okay, your efforts will be what sets you apart, not just because you twasad. Okay. So in conclusion, after I've spoken what I've spoken, what I want to say is that you will never find me trying to poach people from other beliefs and bringing them into African spirituality. I know that there are people who are in Christianity that are doing very well, and who will say that the day that I found Jesus, my life became better and I was able to achieve 1, 2, and 3. And when I look at their life, I admire it. So I would never ever look down on that person because they are a Christian. When I'm saying that I'm not a Christian, it's me saying that I know my lane. Christianity is not my lane. Okay, that's all that I'm saying. I'm not trying to throw shade at Christians. Okay, I admire people who are Christians and then they stick to their belief and it works for them. I admire that 100%. I'm just not one of them. Okay, and also I would like to say that if you've never had a reason to leave your religious belief and look outside, keep it that way. Be satisfied where you are. I also acknowledge that there are people who went into African spirituality and things did not work out well for them, or maybe they are traumatized and then they are saying that they are Christians because of what they went through in the African spirituality. I'm also not judging that. It's none of my business. The thing is, with African spirituality, that's where I found my roots. That's where I am nourished and I'm happy where I am. So I don't drag me with you. Don't aim to drag me with you. Your experience is your experience, and in every religious belief and in every spiritual belief, there's the dark side and there's the light side. So I stick to what I am doing because my conscience is clear. I have never dabbled in something that is against my conscience, so I sleep well at night, and I believe that my practice will really help me to reach where I need to go. Okay, what I have, the vision for my life, it will help me to reach there. So I do acknowledge that there is the evil side the evil side when it comes to African spirituality, where people do atrocities and like they just do funny things. I've never dabbled in that, so my conscience is very clear, and I believe that there's the pure side of spirituality, which is what I am tapping into, the light side, the healing side, the one that brings healing, that brings life to people that I would like to serve. That is what I am tapping into, right? So my conscience is very clear, and I have never done anything that is against my higher self. Okay, so, and I will continue to keep it that way so that it gives me life and I get the benefits that I want to get from it. So even when it comes to Christianity, there is the dark side of Christianity. It's just that many people that I know, and even in South Africa, in Africa, my experience of Christian people is that generally, even though they don't always reach where they need to go or to become the people that they want to be, but generally the intention is to be good people of good character. But if you really read the Bible, and because they are like that, even when they look at the Bible, they will see the good side of the Bible, because that's what they want. That's they are cherry picking. We all cherry pick. Even when it comes to African spirituality, I cherry pick. I take what is good, what is noble, what is praiseworthy. Okay, so yeah, like Christian cherry pick, but if you look at the Bible, it's not always so good, you know. You can use the very same Bible to perform atrocities out there, you know, because yeah, things like genocide, when it comes to the Bible, sometimes when it comes to issues like rape, like it's not necessarily denouncing that or speaking harshly against that, right? It rather speak harshly against adultery. What's the word? The Christian word of people who are promiscuous. So yeah, it rather speak harshly against that. But when it comes to rape, it's just saying that if a man rapes a woman, then that woman must marry. So you see those kind of things. So it's not necessarily, if you look at it, somebody can use that and say that, but like, just become my wife, you know, I didn't do so bad, you know. Even when it comes to the killing of men and taking vengeance for yourself, the Bible does promote those kind of things. But because you might not be that kind of a person, you might not be tapping into that side of what the Bible says, you see. So that's also what I'm saying, is that because I'm not a evil person, I'm not somebody who intends on causing havoc in other people's lives, I'm not tapping into bad magic, right? So yeah, that's all that I'm saying. Let me leave it here. The point is that I don't hate Christians or any other person that is practicing any other belief outside of my belief. The only thing is that don't abuse me in terms of how you speak to me or how you treat me. Like, don't treat me in a demeaning manner just because I'm not a Christian. That's where we will have maybe a fight, or maybe I will fight back, or maybe I'll ignore you, whatever, you know. And the fact that you believe that ancestors are demons, I don't care about that. It is your belief, it's okay. Really, that has nothing to do with me. The only problem, like I said, is if you feel like you want to treat me less than a human being because of what I believe in. I will never ever look down on myself for going to Twasa. I'm very proud. I'm a very proud initiate. I'm so proud of what I did for myself. It was for myself, and I believe that it will do for me what I needed it to do for me. So your words, your views on that, it's none of my business, right? I'm just supposed to get from it what I need to get from it. So that is the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please subscribe, like the video. You can write your comments down below, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.